So a lot of you are aware of deepfakes and the ability to synthesize voices and so on. What you may not know is that as of at least a few months ago, what you only need now is 3 seconds of someone's voice before you can use 3 seconds of someone's voice to autocomplete and speak in their voice. So here's just 2 demos of that really quickly. You're about to hear a woman who's actually speaking in kind of a robotic way, but I think it's a real human. So up until the dotted line, you'll hear a real person's voice. After the dotted line, it's all generated.
Of people are, in 9 cases out of 10, mere spectacle reflections of the actuality of things.
Right. You can't
so
tell.
It's
but they are
indistinguishable.
impressions of something different.
And here's one more demo of a piano. So the first 3 seconds are real, then, so indistinguishable. This is being generated by a computer, right? And we talked about this and we thought, people are going to use this to do scams. And we made this presentation, and within a few days of after putting this in our presentation, this actually had happened. The Washington Post wrote it up. People are using this. You can call up someone's kid, say, hello, and then don't say anything, get 3 seconds of the voice, call mom or granddad, say, Mom, granddad, I forgot my social security number. Could you give it to me, right? So we are not ready for a world in which content-based authentication, where the image of a person or the sound of a person's voice is enough to authenticate the reality of that person.
And you know that example he just gave? Real.
Yeah, this happened just 3 months ago. And of course, this doesn't just exist with the sounds of voice. This is also now happening real time in video. How many of you have used the new TikTok filters and that have these hyper beautification filters? How many people have seen these? No one. Okay, great. Watch this video. As you watch the video, I want you to notice when she pushes on her lips, okay? So watch her lips when she pushes on them.
I can't believe this is a filter. The fact that this is what filters have evolved into is actually crazy to me. I grew up with the dog filter on Snapchat, and now this filter gave me lip fillers. This is what I look like in real life.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, this and next year are the years that video and photographic evidence cease to work, and that when you are talking to someone, you do not know whether it is them, either their voice or their video. And it's not like any of our institutions have had any time to catch up with this change.
So I was going to say, and if I was the Chinese Communist Party and I wanted to screw over the United States going into the 2024 election, no matter what you regulate in terms of which content moderation or transparency, or if you're following this debate, what I could do is ship a Biden and Trump filter to all of the US. So now every American who posts on TikTok can instantly have the likeness, sound. Have you seen Being John Malkovich, where everyone suddenly becomes Malkovich? This would be like Being Biden and Trump, where everyone, and it would turn your society into a cacophony of nonsense. And it had nothing to do with free speech or content moderation.
And note, that is not illegal. Almost always you'll hear people talk about the harms of AI as bad people doing bad things that are illegal, and it misses all of the harms we're talking about.
I'll just say it very briefly. Would you have allowed the Soviet Union to control television programming for the entire Western world during the Cold War? I think that's all you need to know for that example. Okay, really quickly. So this is also being used by people themselves. So this is a 23-year-old Snapchat influencer who's using OpenAI to create an AI avatar version of herself that talks like her. She's a very attractive young woman, talks like her, will actually interact with people. Basically, I'm your girlfriend as a service, and I'll charge $1 per minute, right? These are new questions that this is causing for how our society is going to work. Now, this can also be used in nefarious ways. And by the way, if there's any journalists in the room, we are showing this to you as an example to arm you so that you understand the kinds of things that can be done here. This is one of those ones that you don't want to go off broadcasting around the world. If I wanted to cause a bank run, imagine something that I could do. I could go find all the people who are online tweeting about the SVB bank collapse. You remember the SVB bank run that happened back in March? I could generate images of people standing in line in front of Wells Fargo, Citibank, Bank of America, right? And then I could actually target those images directly at the people who are hyper-sharers of that content. And there was an academic paper written saying during the run period, we find that the intensity of Twitter conversation about a bank predicts stock market losses at the hourly frequency, right? So this is the kind of stuff that you can do. It's not just misinformation for our democracy. We have to really think deeply about the kinds of vulnerabilities that this introduces in our society.
So I think we'll make a prediction. I wish this was a bold prediction, but I actually think it's just a very obvious prediction, which is that 2024 will be the last human election. What do we mean by that? Well, we just gave you the example of the Snapchat influencer that made sort of a digital version, a counterfeit version of herself, right? In the very near future, when you're interacting with somebody on Reddit or on LinkedIn or on Signal or on Tinder, you will not know whether they're real or not. They can type, they can talk to you, they can send you images of themselves with other people. It's easy to print counterfeit humans. So there's a stat that I'm sure has come up a couple times even at this conference, that it only takes 3% of a population to make a mass movement. What does this mean? Well, if you create a technology that confers power, you start a race. What is that race going to be? It's going to be a race from our foreign adversaries. It'll be a race from every corporation, every special interest group, to instantiate, to print, that 3% of a population as counterfeit humans. And just imagine the influx of that by 2028. Like, there is no way that a democracy in the current form can possibly survive that.
So this has actually also been used in a real election. This is in Toronto. This is a fake image of fake homeless people sitting on the side of a building. And this is why we're starting to see this actually really happen. And this is new since we started first giving this presentation. Now, what our friend Yuval Harari, who wrote the book *Sapiens*, kind of summarizes is what nuclear weapons are to the physical world, these generative AI language models are, these golems are, to the virtual or symbolic world. The ability to hack language, understand it at scale, and then manipulate language, whether that language is images, video, text,
law,
DNA, chemistry, law, finding loopholes in law. Okay, this is the end of a little chapter on some of the horror show of the dark sides of AI. And I want to just say, we are walking you through deliberately the dark sides so that you understand what we would need to do to adequately deal with these problems. If we held this back and people didn't know this, then we're going to fly blindly into just releasing all this stuff. So I want you to understand why we're doing this. We care about getting to the solution. We're going to get there by the end.
So one final thing to wrap up this section, and this is the point we were making with Yuval when we wrote a New York Times op-ed with him, is that human civilization runs on language, like money is based on language, code, religion, corporations, that even democracy is conversation. Conversation is language. If you hack language, there's nothing that says that democracy can continue to survive.